In Pit Lane would like to acknowledge the support of the following sponsors. We thank them for their support of In Pit Lane. Yes, welcome back everybody to another edition of In Pit Lane, a brand new season coming to you right across Melbourne and Geelong on Channel 31, or you might be watching us record the program live on Facebook and or YouTube. If you are watching us live, remember, for the best quality stream, go to the In Pit Lane YouTube channel, or as I said, Thursday nights, 9:30, our new time on Channel 31, where you can watch it in the comfort of the old-fashioned cathode ray tube. Now, coming up a little bit later on in the program, joining us tonight, Doc's back. Craig Latigo is back with us once again. Doc, welcome back.
Thanks, Brett. Great to be back. I'm really eager and enthusiastic. It's coming into spring. The birds are chirping. The bees are buzzing. But motorsport's back.
Well, not interested. And alongside, speaking of popular children's entertainer, we've got a young guy with us who is a new Australian karting champion. He is Kobi Williams. Kobi, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we'll catch up with you a little bit later, but the exciting thing for Kobi is, apart from winning the national championship, is that he's got an invitation to race at Le Mans, and we'll find out more about that a little bit later on in the program. Joining us, live music from the Clever References. But right now, last week on Wednesday, we went down to Phillip Island for the testing for the new S5000 category that's about to debut at Sandown in a couple of weeks' time. It was absolutely spectacular. It was freezing cold, and let's check out some of the action from Phillip Island last Wednesday. Phillip Island was the site of the largest test day yet for the new S5000 cars prior to their debut appearance at Sandown later this month. 5 of the new cars were on hand for the test, but with the freezing cold, gale force wind and regular downpours of rain, conditions weren't exactly ideal for fast times. Even so, the cars looked and sounded impressive, and current Formula 4 champion Lewis Leeds left no one in doubt as to what he thought about his first drive.
I pooped my pants when I first got in it, so I was wheel spinning in 4th gear in the first session, so got to tame the beast. I've driven a lot of open wheelers, experienced cars with a lot of grip, but not quite with this amount of horsepower. So being out there, it's a huge learning opportunity to handle the wheel spin, learning how to make sure that those gear shifts are right, and making sure that I'm picking up the throttle in the right places, getting out the corners as fast as I can. It's incredible.
For Chris Lambden, the man who came up with the original concept 5 years ago, this was a very significant day in the history of the new class.
I've never had quintuplets, would it be? 5 of them, but it's pretty good day, I have to say. The car has actually ended up probably better than I ever thought it could. The first car we built was a really good car, but the design was from a slot a few years earlier, and it didn't have quite the safety standards that we've now got. The car is now 2018 FIA. Approved safety-wise, halo, everything. So it's got many years of longevity. So the response to it's been pretty good. This is the first time we've run a number of cars in one day, and so far so good. We wanted to create an open wheeler category for Australia, for the Australian economy, and which ticked a few boxes. And if you're talking Australia, you've got to start with a modern chassis. There's no way around it. There are people online saying, "Oh, why aren't we running old this and that?" But to have a serious category, you've got to run a modern carbon fibre car. It's Australia, so you've got to have a V8 that's noisy and powerful, big tyres, limited aero. So we took some of the philosophy, I suppose you'd say, of Formula 5000 and became incorporated in this car. So that's exactly what we've ended up with, and it's worked out really well.
Gary Rogers Motorsport supercar driver James Golding has driven the car in testing before, and he's excited about the potential of the new cars.
A lot of
Australian motorsport's sort of been up and down a lot with how many people are around each category and that sort of thing. So introducing something new is always good to try and see if people get around it. And I think these cars will be a pretty spectacular thing to see. So from a spectator's point of view, I think it's going to be pretty good and might get a few more people trackside, I reckon.
Where do you think they're going to fit in overall in the hierarchy of Australian motorsport? I mean, obviously in terms of performance, the potential is there for them to be far and away the quickest thing on the racetrack. But do you think they'll ever get to the stage where they might be a viable alternative for some drivers to the supercars?
Yeah, I think so. I think experienced drivers need to be driving them as well. Younger guys and possibly some older guys wouldn't really suit them too much. They're like a real narrow cockpit. Steering's pretty heavy, and that sort of thing. Obviously very fast cars, so you need to have a pretty decent amount of experience to be able to drive one and race one, that's for sure. But I reckon I'd like to see him as part of the Supercars Championship at a few rounds. I think that'd be good and good for the fans as well. But I think there could be a potential there if it did go well that it could take over. So Supercars may not be too excited about that, but.
Australian international sports car driver John Martin also took part in the test, and like Golding, he's full of enthusiasm for the new category and its Sandown debut.
I mean, I want to be there at the moment, yeah, but in this sport, obviously nothing's done till it's signed, so we just need to work on a few things, trying to get some support to do it, but it's obviously, as we know, it's motorsport can be a weird thing. I definitely want to be there, like to be there, 50% sure that I will be there, but we just need to work on a few things and make it happen.
If the power and speed of the new cars took some experienced racers by surprise, spare a thought for Bo Beaton. Bo's no stranger to speed, having been a successful bike racer for many years. This, however, was his first time on four wheels, and it was a challenging baptism.
It's a little bit intimidating at first, the amount of power through such a twitchy car. I've never driven many race cars at all, so we've only got a few laps in the dry so far, so it's taking it pretty slow and steady at the moment. But look, they're a beautiful car and they've got a lot of horsepower, so it's one step at a time.
Is this something you would like to follow up? I mean, obviously, there's been quite a few motorcycle racers over the years who have moved onto racing as they've got a little bit older and all the rest of it, onto four wheels. Do you think it's something you might be interested in the future?
Yeah, for sure. I think if the opportunity can grow from this, then four wheels is definitely something I'd love to do. I'm passionate about all sorts of motorsport. I've followed all different types of racing over my years, and it's just motorcycles is what I fell into at a young age. And Ken and Barry Horner at KH Equipment and the Irving Vincent motorcycle team have given me some great opportunities that I never thought would come.
With 14 cars expected on the grid at Sandown and drivers including ex-Formula One star Rubens Barrichello and third-generation racer Matthew Brabham behind the wheel, the debut of S5000 is one of the most anticipated debuts at Sandown since some guy called Moffat unveiled a red Mustang way back in 1969. To date with all the news of S5000 as it heads towards its spectacular debut at Sandown in a few weeks' time. When we come back, we're going to be joined at the desk, as I said, by Kobi Williams, and we've got live music from the Clever References coming up a little bit later on in the program. You're watching In Pit Lane on Channel 31 right across Melbourne and Geelong. Don't go away. We'll be right back. We don't have the technology to cut to the shot of the technology, but take my word for it, somewhere there is technology. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just reach over and I'll drag the technology into shot.
We're on YouTube live still, but not on the show.
The reason I'm dragging the technology into shot, for those of you, the whole idea was we were going to have chats and Facebook and all sorts
interaction. We're going to interact with our media platforms and our
family.
Absolute, the family. But you took the words right out of my mouth.
Unfortunately, the technology doesn't work. We spent the best part of the last half hour. Forget about producing a television show. We've been battling to try and cook up this bloody thing.
And you know what? It comes down to Wi-Fi. The old saying again, you need free Wi-Fi. Anyway.
You would think in a university getting Wi-Fi would not be a problem, but anyway, as you see, it's very nice technology. It's beautifully designed.
It's a great prop. I need it in front of me. Yeah, exactly. I'm kidding. No, I'm joking.
You take it back.
It's useless tonight, but yeah, it's great. It just hides my beer belly.
I need something to be able to. I need a Mac Pro to hide my.
However, but what you're suggesting is in future episodes, because we've got another 12 more episodes for the season to go, we are going to interact with our family.
At some stage, what we would like to do is have a situation whereby people at home can send us stuff on the YouTube channel. Yep. Like I said at the start of the program, if you could. If you go to the YouTube channel, the quality is so much better than it is on Facebook. I'm sorry, Mark Zuckerberg, if you would. I mean, your video is crap. 720, it falls over quite regularly. Go to the YouTube channel. It's much higher quality, and you can go on the chat as well. But we can't see it, but anyway, so say nice things about it. Please leave a comment, like and subscribe. If you haven't liked and subscribed, that's really, really important for YouTube in terms of the algorithms. The more people who like, subscribe and click on the notification buttons, the better it is for people like us.
And send us questions earlier.
Send us questions. Send questions to our guests. Send questions to us.
There is a lot happening on the motorsport body around Victoria and Australia at the moment. There is rumblings everywhere at the moment.
Rumblings indeed. Rumblings indeed.
And so many classifications as well too.
And we're going to get back to them in just a moment. Yep. So we might head back to our Channel 31 program in just a second. So Pete,
coming in on camera 3.
Coming in on 3. Welcome back to In Pit Lane. Well, last Sunday out at Todd Road, the Melbourne karting circuit, our next guest wrapped up an Australian karting championship, and he joins us today here on In Pit Lane. Kobi Williams, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We've got your lovely your helmet there, which is very... Tell us about the helmet. That's an interesting design. There's a story behind that, I imagine.
My sponsor, Sick Lids, did it for me. It's a nice, comfortable helmet. Looks good.
It certainly looks good. It's got the sort of the Indigenous style about it. It's great colour. Tell us about your weekend, wrapping up the title. What title did you win?
The Australian Kart Championships.
In what category?
KO4 Junior.
So KO4 Junior, what's with the junior thing? I mean, what is the age limit on that?
It's 12 to 16.
Yes. And how old are you?
I'm 14.
I had to think about that for a second, didn't you?
It's got a couple of more years left in you yet then, Kobi. You can excel. So tell us, Kobi, where have you competed? Tracks around Victoria, Australia, obviously Australian circuit, but how many tracks in Victoria have you competed at, and how many around of Australia have you travelled all around Australia? Did you compete in every single event?
I've done pretty much all the tracks in Victoria besides one, and then we've done 3 in Queensland, and then 3 in New South Wales, and then 1 in South Australia.
And you're squeezing that in between school as well too.
Yeah.
Good on you.
And it's interesting. I mean, as you say, there is a lot of travel involved, and it's karting is basically an entry level event, but it's still very expensive. And as a result of you winning the championship, you've got something very special that's happened to you. You have been invited to France. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So you go over to France and race people from all over the world, and yeah.
And not just anywhere in France, but Le Mans.
Yeah.
Wow, that's huge.
Do you know about sort of the history of the Le Mans 24 Hour and all that, and what a significant place it is?
A little bit. It's like, I know it's the Le Mans 24 Hour, all that.
It is sacred ground, it really is. It's very much sacred ground. So I know, but I understand. I mean, the problem is you've got the invitation to go over, but you haven't been given you've been given a massive ticket, but not a massive cheque. So you're trying to raise money to get over there. Is that a problem at the moment?
A little bit. We're trying to get people to help and stuff. So yeah. So
if people want to help out, any companies out there who might be interested in getting involved in getting you over to Le Mans for this particular race. When is the race?
6 weeks or something.
6 weeks, so they've got a little bit of time. So, so you've got social media and all that. Tell us where people can contact you. On Instagram at Kobi.karting94, and then Facebook at Kobi Williams.
And Kobi, you're a local boy. What's your karting club that you belong to?
Oakley Go-Kart Club.
So it's only just down the road.
Yeah.
And how often do you practice?
Oh, we're at the track most weekends.
Yeah, most
before
weekends do you?
nationals and
Burn some
stuff.
fuel up as well there
Yeah.
too. And how many of you are at the club there? Is it 20 or 30 of you around different age groups and that sort of stuff? And
I'm
where do you
not
compete?
quite sure how many there are, but
Right.
there's a fair few, I'd say.
This is how I was a member of that kart when it was the Dandenong Kart Club.
Right.
And the track used to be out the back of the Dandenong Drive-In.
Yeah.
Is that where the track still is, Kobi?
No.
No.
It's
Oh.
out at, well, it was Deals Road, where they called it for a
Yeah.
while, but yeah, it's a great track, and they race under light. They should
Right.
publicise that more, because
Yeah.
it is fantastic under light. Great night out,
Yeah.
particularly in the summer.
Right.
Yeah, great night out.
Got a couple of tracks for you. I've seen you compete at Puckapunya. Was that fun?
Yeah, it's a good track.
You like Puckapunya?
Yeah.
Very good. Broadfoot as well too, just down the road. They do karts here
You
sometimes.
just want the excuse to say
No,
Puckapunya.
Puckapunya. But one track that did catch my eye as well, though, too, on your Facebook page. So, yeah, jump on Kobi's Facebook, Kobi Williams on Facebook, look it up, or Instagram, as you said as well, though, too. I saw a picture up there at Ipswich. Did you push somebody off the road? No, I saw a cart flying through the air and dirt, all that. Squeezed them off the track, did you? That wasn't you?
No, not that I can remember.
Do you remember a cart going off behind you up there?
No.
That's all right. Have a look at Kobi's web page on the Facebook.
It's all right. He's not a steward. He's not.
No, I didn't see anyone exactly like that. And but you did quite well up there, though. You got some
Yeah.
firsts and some seconds.
Yep.
A few poles up there too, didn't you? Up
Yeah.
at Ipswich in
We
Queensland.
managed to win every heat and come second in the final.
So just quickly, we're right out of time. But what's the long-term plan? I mean, what do you want to do in the next 5 years?
Next 5 years, probably hopefully race cars in a couple of years and go from there, really.
So Formula 4. And what do you think of the new S5000? We like to get into
yeah,
that
they
attracts you?
look really good, yeah.
Yeah, they certainly do. They sound really good too.
Yeah.
Look, thanks for coming in. Stay with us for the moment.
Yeah.
Good luck in your battle to go to France and Le Mans.
Thank you.
But for now, Kobi Williams, thanks for joining us in Pit Lane.
Thanks for having me.
And we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have all of the news from what unfortunately was a tragic weekend of motorsport, and also we'll have music from our special guests, the Clever References. This is In Pit Lane on Channel 31 on Melbourne and Geelong. We'll be right back. Okay, well, what we're going to do now, as I said, the Clever References are here. For those of you watching on YouTube and Facebook, we're going to give you a bonus track now from the guys, and we'll also give you some details of where they're going to perform a little bit later when we go back to Channel 31. So, how far away are you, Kobi, while the guys are setting up there for France? It's a big opportunity. It'd be a great thrill. I mean, how disappointed would it be if you just couldn't pull it together?
I'll be a little bit disappointing, but you understand if you can't afford it and stuff, so yeah.
Yeah, it's such a shame. Like talking to some of the guys that were doing the S5000 tests, a lot of talented drivers, people like Ricky Cappo and Lewis Leeds, John Martin.
We've had Lewis on here recently.
Who have been sort of, particularly like, both Ricky and John Martin have been at top levels in sports car racing, European Le Mans Series, the World Endurance Championship, John at Le Mans. At the 24-hour race, and they just don't have the support from Australia.
You've got to dare to dream, but you've got to also be a realist sometimes as well too.
It doesn't matter how much. Yeah, it doesn't matter how much talent you've got in motorsport.
The sponsor.
Ultimately, somebody's got to come
money,
up,
yeah.
and if you're not born to, son of rich father, you're in.
So Kobi, obviously Brett just asked you before, what do you want to do in 5 years down the track? What's your next step anyway?
After that, I'd love to do like F1 or something.
No, I mean just in the next couple of years. So you got your KA4s at the moment. What's the next thing you want to get the wheel behind and have a compete in the race against?
Oh, not quite sure, but it's like race cars would be cool and stuff.
Yeah, even.
So have you looked at something like Formula 4 at this stage?
Oh, a little bit. Like the new TCR series looks good and stuff.
It does.
He's aiming high.
That's another alternative. For young guys, and it's great. It's great we've got this alternative. This was one of the things we wanted to talk about. We had originally one of the TCR guys was going to come in tonight, and that was one of the things I wanted to talk about, because now you've got another pathway. It was just you had supercars and that was it.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Now you've got some alternatives, and if S5000 takes off as well, you've got another alternative.
And it's always been said traditionally for a long time, Brett, and because you've been watching it for decades, getting experience in the open wheel classes, even before if you go to a tin top, has always been instrumental on helping your career progress a lot faster, isn't it? So.
Yeah, I think that's it. Well, you know yourself. I mean, you get to karting is such a great way of sort of getting that close racing, and getting there. Anyway, stay with us. As I said, we got. Do you like music?
Yeah, it's all right.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, you know, take it or leave it. Well, let's see if you can take this one, because joining us right now, our first live band for this series of In Pit Lane are the Clever References. We'll give you all the details about their new single coming up a little bit later on. They're going to play that for us, but right now they're going to play the song for us, Baccarat. This is the Clever References.
Your passion's fashion, but it's the game that fuels your life. All the rush you love, you claim to me that you've had enough. I tell you to quit, but it's worked out so well for you. Unfortunately, I can't play the game like you want me to. It's such a shame you make it sound like I'm missing out. Oh, I know, I know, I know. It's easy if I want to. But it is truly me, and it is truly not you. Will you leave me alone? For I don't understand. Nor will I ever understand a beauty such as you. Tragic as it may be for us, you'll never have me. I watch from afar as you leave me well behind. For my fear never materialized, for which I'm glad, I guess. So calculating, so precise you are out there. I whinge at your close calls, but you dodge all by a hair. It's hard to swallow, but I do feel like I'm missing out. Oh, I know, I know, I know. It's not too late for me. But it is truly not me, and it is truly you. I should leave you alone, for I'll never understand. Not in a million years understand a beauty such as you. Tragic as it may be for us, I'll never have you. I just hold you back. I do mean what I say. You're better off without me, bringing you down. There's nothing you can say to convince me otherwise. Let me go. Your passion's fashion, but it's the game that fuels your life. All the rush you love, you cling to me that you've had enough. Well, that's a lie. I tell you to quit, but it's worked out so well for you. Unfortunately, I can't play the game like you want me to.
References and Baccarat, they will be back a little bit later on to take us out with their new single, Aesthetic Boys and Aesthetic Girls. They're coming up. That's coming up a little bit later on in the program. We're almost ready to go back to 31 and our and what's coming up from our friends in the Motoring Diary. So, Pete, whenever they're ready in the control room, we'll play that through.
8, 7, 6.
Pete's now counting. And it's happening.
He proves it every time.
What's on in Motorsport, brought to you by the Motoring Diary, a must-have for all motoring enthusiasts.
In a world where there is simply not enough motorsport, this weekend, Melbourne goes motorsport mad. Saturday, September the 7th, Phillip Island Grand Prix Circuit and the Pyark Super Sprint. Then Sunday, the Victorian Supercar Championships on the very same circuit. For something closer to home, Sandown Raceway plays host to the Alpha Club Super Sprint. See the new look Sandown Raceway for the very first time. That's just a little of what's on this weekend in local motorsport.
Welcome back. And something else that coming up this weekend that we forgot to put down on that is that this Sunday, drag racing out at Calder Park. The Sunday Fun Day is on again, weather permitting, of course. Head to the Calder Park Facebook page, the drag racing Facebook page, and check that out. A little bit later on in the year too, some more live streaming in Pit Lane will be out at Calder Park for live streaming of drag racing action. We saw, just quickly, Kobi, before we move on to the news, we saw the supercarts and out there this weekend. Now, you're going to be down there. You're going to get behind the wheel of Nick Shembry's car.
Yeah, it's good.
You looking forward to that?
Yeah, definitely.
So you haven't driven one of these things before?
No.
How do you think you're going to get used to sort of that downforce and that sort of speed?
Yeah, we definitely feel faster.
How fast your kart go? Top speed?
A long straight track, probably 110.
100. That's pretty quick. I might get a ride with you home later on tonight.
Yeah.
And how fast does Nick's go? Have you been told?
Like 180 or something.
180. So you got 70. Oh.
Yeah, they're a seriously quick
bit more on the wow pedal there. That one there, guys and girls.
Okay, listen, we're going to the news right now. As some of you would be aware, it was a particularly sad weekend for motorsport, but a lot has happened in the weekend of motorsport. Let's check out the In Pit Lane news.
A sad start to the news with the death of reigning GP3 champion and Renault Junior development driver Antoine Hubert. Competing in the latest round of the Formula 2 series at Spa, the 22-year-old was involved in an horrific crash, also involving Giuliano Alessi, Juan Manuel Correa and Marina Sato. Correa remains in hospital in a stable condition with multiple fractures and spinal injuries. Cyril Abitboul, managing director of Renault Sport Racing, said, "Antoine was a bright young man. His performance and conduct on and off the track was that of a true gentleman, and it was a pleasure and honour to have had him within our academy. He will be sorely missed by our teams at Enstone and Viry. His spirit will remain with the team, and we will race in his memory." Formula 1 world champion Lewis Hamilton was quick to pay tribute to Hubert and reminded fans that despite the huge advances in motorsport safety, there were still huge risks involved. "If a single one of you watching and enjoying this sport think for a second what we do is safe, you're hugely mistaken," said Hamilton. "All these drivers put their life on the line when they hit the track, and people need to appreciate that in a serious way, because it's not appreciated enough. In Pit Lane passes on our sincerest condolences to the family and friends of Antoine Hubert." An emotional maiden Formula 1 win for Charles Leclerc at Spa in last weekend's Belgian Grand Prix. Leclerc, who had known Antoine Hubert for many years, dedicated his win to the memory of his friend. Leclerc started from pole and held off the late race challenge of the Mercedes pair of Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. Drivers and officials held a minute's silence before the race in memory of Hubert, with the crowd erupting into applause on lap 19, the Frenchman's racing number. It was a big weekend for Queensland driver Will Brown, who has strengthened his lead in the inaugural TCR Australia Series, winning 2 of the 3 races at Winton last weekend. Brown won both Sunday's races to stretch his lead over Alfa Romeo driver Dylan O'Keefe. Jason Bright returned to the top step of the podium with victory in Saturday's first race. Aaron Cameron had his best TCR weekend yet, with a second place in the final race, the highlight of his weekend. The next round of the TCR series will be at Sandown at the end of the month. Another late season win to Australian driver Will Power with victory at the Grand Prix of Portland. The Queensland driver held off Felix Rosenqvist, who matched his season best with a second place finish. It was a chaotic start to the race when Graham Rahal bounced into the side of Andretti Autosport's Zach Veach. Simon Pagenaud was spun from a hit from Carlin's Max Chilton. Fortunately for Pagenaud, his car sustained no significant damage and he was able to continue. The 2019 IndyCar Series will conclude its 17-race season with the Grand Prix of Monterey on Sunday, September 22nd. Toyota have started the new World Endurance Championship season in much the same fashion as they entered the last one, with a dominant 1-2 victory in the 4 hours of Silverstone. The number 7 car of Kamui Kobayashi, Mike Conway and Jose Maria Lopez took the first win of the season, leading home the number 8 car. The third podium spot was taken by the number 3 Rebellion Racing R13. In LMP2, newcomers Cool Racing took a win on their WEC debut. Nicolas Lapierre and Antonin Borgia led home the 36 Signatech Alpine of Thomas Laurent, Andre Nagaro and Pierre Radges. Porsche took home a 1-2 victory in another close-run GTE Pro competition, as the 91 car of Jean-Maria Bruni and Richard Leitz led home Michael Christensen and Kevin Estra in the 92 RSR, while Francois Perotto, Emmanuel Collard and Nicholas Nielsen claimed the win for Ferrari in GTE AM. After a rain delay of almost 4 hours, Eric Jones took out the most important victory of his career in the Southern 500 at Darlington Raceway. With his contract at Joe Gibbs Racing said to be in doubt, Jones held off teammate Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson to take the win. A massive pile-up in turn 4 on lap 275 ruined the race for crowd favourites Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch and Denny Hamlin. The NASCAR Cup Circus now rolls on to the famous Indianapolis circuit next weekend for the Brickyard 400.
Well, that's all we've got time for this week on In Pit Lane. Yes, a sad weekend of motorsport, and I think it's worth having a look at the words of Lewis Hamilton again. He certainly made some good points there. It's very easy to forget that this sport does still carry some dangers, even with all the improvements that have been made. So it's something that we love it, but we've got to respect it as well, because it can be still a dangerous sport, unfortunately. And once again, our thoughts are with the family and friends of Antoine Hubert, who was going to be the next in that line of the French New Wave, following through Charles Leclerc and Pierre Gasly and those guys. Now, coming up, as we said, our band tonight is the guys from the Clever References, and if you're watching us on YouTube Live, you can see them tomorrow night, Wednesday the 4th of September, at Whole Lot of Love in Lygon Street, Carlton, but they're also going to be at the Noble Experiment. The Clever References shall be at the Noble Experiment in Collingwood, where they will be playing their upcoming single released in October. That single is called Aesthetic Boys, Aesthetic Girls. Wonder what it sounds like? Let's find out now. To take us out, this is the Clever References and Aesthetic Boys, Aesthetic Girls. Until next week, good night.
Aesthetic boys, aesthetic girls, they dominate. Aesthetic goals, aesthetic dreams, all closer each than most of us who toil with our own ability to achieve. But aesthetic boys, aesthetic girls will get there first. I don't blame them, they are nice, and I don't have time to look at, and I get great pleasure in idolizing them to their discomfort. But we do this in a map that creates the proper cover for my borderline obsessive thoughts of you. Aesthetic boy, aesthetic girl, you dominate. Aesthetic goals, aesthetic dreams.